Hey YouTube, welcome back. I've got a topic of conversation here for you today, talking about something that used to be the case before 0.9 and now is just a tiny bit different in the 0.9 patch, but it's enough of a difference that has changed how I enjoy building my Sentinel characters. So we're going to talk about Sigils of Hope. Sigils of Hope used to be one of like two, maybe three, maybe 2.5 things that you would almost always take on a Sentinel character. If you're playing any Sentinel, I would argue in the past, you'd take Sigils of Hope, you'd take Volatile Reversal, and then if you're playing a Forage Guard, you're probably using Ring of Shields. If you are a Void Knight, you'd be using Anomaly, and if you're Paladin, you'd be using your Holy Aura. With those three skills picked out virtually already for you because they're so strong, your other skills would be like a damaging skill plus lunge, or a single target skill plus an AoE skill, or maybe you're proccing smite and then you have an unspec'd lunge. So those are like the kinds of archetypes that existed prior to 0.9, in my opinion, based on a lot of gameplay. So Sigils of Hope, they used to be so strong, and now they're only strong. They used to give you something that's really hard to get, and that's flat armor. Flat armor is difficult to get. It's one of the reasons that you'd want to use a base type for your body armor that has as much armor as possible. As an aside, in 0.9, I actually think that the body armor that's best for a Sentinel is the one that has 550 flat armor, just because flat armor is very valuable. Like, it's one of the reasons you want to be using end game body armors instead of using like a low level body armor that only has, stun avoidance boots or something along those lines. So flat armor is hard to get. Percent armor, pretty easy. Flat armor, hard. The numbers of flat armor that you can roll on your gear, like a tier 5 affix, is just not big enough to merit putting on your gear intentionally. So this used to be a huge amount of flat armor, and you could scale it up with all of your percent armor, and it made a meaningful difference to your character. This endurance threshold is still defensive. It still adds to the overall EHP of your character, but just this one little change, it is such a good change that EHG made. Instead of Sigils of Hope being this ubiquitous thing that you take on every single character, they made it just a little bit worse. And all of a sudden, I'm using different skills instead of Sigils of Hope. It still gives you 5 times 5, 25 times 4. It still gives you 100% increased damage. It still gives you the flat damage native to the skill itself. Maybe you have some flat damage here. Maybe you go block effect, maybe you go void stuff over here, maybe even healing effect if you're playing a Judgment or a Holy Trail Javelin kind of character. But the fact that this has been changed to endurance threshold instead of armor really opens up a lot of possibilities for other skills to compete with Sigils of Hope, which I love. So the point of this video is to say that in Sigils of Hope, there's 2 reasons that I would still take it right now. So this is like a rule of thumb. This is not your golden rule. This is how I am currently thinking about my 0.9 characters. If I'm playing a Void Knight, I think Sigils of Hope are very worthwhile. Why? Because this node's great. So it gives you more percent increased damage on top of this stuff here, and then all of this flat damage gets converted. And like, you'd like to have a little bit of extra defense. This is fine too. I think Void Knights by and large probably want to be using this. So my Void Knights might look something like Volatile Reversal, Anomaly, Sigils, and then whatever my 2 other skills are going to be. Maybe like Lunge and Hammer Throw, maybe Abyssal Echo's Devouring Orb, something like that, and just like run around using movement speed from Volatile Reversal. Something along those lines is what I'd be looking to use. But I think Sigils of Hope are quite good for Void Knight characters looking for void damage here. The other use case for Sigils of Hope, where I would probably use in my build, is if I have a shield, especially if I have a Bastion of Honor, because I'm looking for as much block effectiveness as possible. But even if I'm not using Bastion of Honor, because I'd like to get that extra block chance. This is 3 times 3, or sorry, 1 times 3 is 3, times 4 is 12. This is another 12% block chance on my character. And like, you can, if you're investing in your block chance, if maybe you have an LP shield of some sort, you can get like 80, maybe 85 block chance without going insane. That's a pretty strong amount of block. And that's, before we start talking about things like Bulwark of the Last Abyss, or things like Face of the Mountain, the endurance stacking shield. you can get a lot of block chance. And like getting, you know, from 70 up to 82-ish% block chance is a noticeable increase in your defenses. So for me, Sigils of Hope are something that I'm going to be using in 0.9 if I'm a Void Knight, probably, and if I'm using a shield, probably. So this character that I'm playing right now, I'm playing Shield Throw, and in the past, Shield Throw, proccing, Smite with your idols here. This would be a kind of character that you go Shield Throw, Smite, Volatile Reversal, Sigils, Holy Aura. Boom, done, no variation at all. Now I am using a shield, but Shield Throw gives me a ton of flat armor, so I'm already feeling decently tanky for my character here. I don't feel like I need more block chance, and I wanted to investigate using other options instead. So instead of the pre 0.9, where I would use Sigils and I wouldn't even think about it, now I'm using Manifest Armor. Why, you might ask? I'm not speccing for any kind of damage or anything. I gave him a shield and I gave him as much survivability as I could. But I took my Shield Throw and I spent 1 point up here so that Shield Throw can target and ricochet to other allies other than myself. What this means is my notoriously low damage for my Shield Throw character, like even with a bunch of crit and a bunch of crit multi and perfect idols for proccing Smite, even then, your damage is always kind of low. But as soon as you take off your sigils and you put on your Manifest Armor, it basically doubles your single target damage because it gives your shield one other thing to bounce to. And this has made an appreciable difference in my enjoyment of the character, my single target damage, my capacity of killing bosses, and it's really been quite enjoyable to play. This character overall is something that I'm doing for my my Firestarters contest that I announced both on Discord and on YouTube. But we're gonna have some other experiments going on with this after the contest is done. We'll try some other weapons and see how those work. But really, just the fact that we have Manifest Armor makes me so happy that we can experiment with other skills other than Sigils, and we don't feel locked in because of how strong and generic Sigils of Hope used to be. I'm really happy about it. I want to see more changes like this. It's a pretty good one. If you have things on your mind about how you're using Sigils of Hope right now, maybe in the past, or especially in the future, let me know in the comment section of this video. I've always loved to see what y'all are doing with the skills, because I have a good idea of what I'm doing, but I'm only one person, so I always like to see what other folks are doing too. Like always, thanks for watching here. If you got any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section there. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.